everyone, this is Stan, your favorite Polish Taiwan YouTuber. Welcome to today's show. Today, let's talk about Nicaragua breaking diplomatic relations with Taiwan and how the CCP is supporting the global spread of authoritarianism. What everyone has been worried about actually happened. Nicaragua cut its ties with Taiwan. Well, it did not come out of the blue. Many researchers predicted that it might happen with Ortega being in power. This is another case when a dictator is ignoring the will of the people and simply decides to end official contacts with Taiwan. Ortega has no right to represent the Nicaraguan people. And actually, this is not the first time when Ortega cuts ties with Taiwan. He did it first in 1985, and then after leaving the office, Nicaragua re-established diplomatic ties with Taiwan in 1990. But in 2007, Ortega came into power again and has been ruling Nicaragua since then. By the way, he even made his wife a vice president. Pretty much a definition of a corrupt official. Well, Ortega is a far-left dictator, and his poor record with human rights also make democratic countries all around the world worried about the future of Nicaragua. The Nicaraguan election of 2021 can only be called a sham. Ortega imprisoned many members of the opposition and suppressed the protest movement, which is no different from what dictators like Putin and Lukashenko do. Ortega and his government are very unpopular internationally. The US, EU member states, Australia often condemn Ortega government for oppressing human rights, freedom of speech and cancelling multiple NGOs. We can also say directly that for the CCP he is an ideal leader that will be willing to sell his country for his personal interest to be fulfilled. And yeah, he is a far-left dictator. That kind of dictators the CCP likes the most. Of course, the communist government will give him some benefits, will help him with stability maintenance, and will support him with holding the power in his hands. The point is that the relationships between the people of Nicaragua and the people of Taiwan have always been good, and the Nicaraguan people want to keep the official diplomatic relationships. But after the dictator took power in his hands, it became only harder to do. The US State Department spokesperson Ned Price highlighted that the US hopes that the world will keep developing relationships with Taiwan, and also condemned Ortega's actions. And I think that it's not only the US that should condemn the behavior of Ortega's government. It's a responsibility of all the democratic countries. Nicaraguans have the right to have diplomatic relationships with democratic Taiwan. In a country ruled by a dictator, the government never cares about what the people think. And this is also one of the reasons why the international situation is becoming more and more tense, and there is a rise in number of autocracies. The CCP is currently building a new bloc of dictatorships. US Senator Rick Scott said it correctly. Communist China's growing influence is a cancer in Latin America and poses danger to the entire hemisphere. Well, in my opinion, cutting ties with Taiwan by Ortega government showed us the three things. Firstly, the world has become more aware of what Ortega's government is, and that they are not a reasonable partner that you can negotiate anything with. For the sake of some corrupt officials, they're willing to give up on their allies and even the interests of their own country. Secondly, the CCP's regime can only have autocracies as their partners. If Nicaragua was a democratic country and not a dictatorship run by Ortega, if their people had an opportunity to make decisions on the fate of their country, then Nicaragua would have not broken the relationships with Taiwan. Number 3. Cutting ties with Taiwan only showed Taiwan's partners and allies how dangerous the CCP is, and that they'll do everything to isolate Taiwan internationally. It will also lead to more countries standing up for Taiwan, actually. This vibrant Asian democracy shouldn't be left behind. Then, in response to cutting ties by the Nicaraguan government, Taiwan's President Ing-wen gave the following statement. "I want to tell our people that the more successful Taiwan's democracy and stronger the support for Taiwan from the international community, the larger the pressure from authoritarian rule camp comes." I think this is a key point. After being under pressure from the authoritarian neighbor, Taiwan's determination to defend democracy remains unchanged. I hope that more democratic countries around the world would pay closer attention to Taiwan. Just think about it. We live in free countries. How much sacrifice was made for us to have our democracy? Rule of law, human rights being respected. How much has been done so that we can enjoy our freedoms? Democracy didn't fall from the sky. The people fought for it. And now we have to protect it. And same thing with Taiwan. Taiwanese people fought against the dictators for a long time, and as a result, they can enjoy the vibrant democracy they have today. Democracy, like Taiwan, shouldn't be abandoned, and it shouldn't be betrayed. Neither should Taiwan be given to the dictatorship as the CCP. The CCP is as shameless as it can be. And the situation we are into now is not only chaotic, it's wrong that the world has its appeasement policies towards the CCP. Anyone who supports democracy and freedom must understand one thing, that the CCP, as well as any other dictatorship, they don't care about the people. What the CCP has done to the Uyghur region, Tibet and Hong Kong, let's also look at how the CCP suppresses dissidents and how the CCP simply buys governments of other countries in exchange for helping the dictators to stay in power. Once the corrupt regime supported by the CCP is in power, it will be only harder for the ordinary people to protest against the dictatorship. And it will be very hard for them to have any meaningful change in their country, because it's not only the dictators in their country that they are fighting with. The CCP's massive resources and funds are also against the people in those countries. I hope that the international community will realize it sooner, and there is a need for the democracies to give public statements. We really need for the changes in attitudes toward the CCP to be made. We all have a responsibility to protect democracy, and Taiwan is on the front line in this fight to defend our freedoms. We should not leave our true allies behind. Unfortunately, the world has been appeasing the CCP for decades, and the result is a direct opposite to what those panda-huggers imagined in the beginning. The worst thing is that the rise of the CCP has been supported by the democracies. Since Chinese economic reform, it didn't take long till the CCP committed Tiananmen massacre. And now, more than 30 years passed. The CCP not only didn't apologize for it, but instead they found a way to distort history and hide the truth. And unfortunately, its international influence only became even bigger. No longer it just wants to influence the neighboring countries, occupy Taiwan, mass murder Uyghurs, Tibetans, and keep on suppressing Hong Kong. Now they want to dominate the world and export their dictatorship with Chinese characteristics to the other countries. And now they're even distorting the concept of democracy and make the people in the European Union, the United States, and all around the world confuse the CCP's dictatorship with true democracy.
China is indeed, no doubt, a true democracy.
Therefore, thinking that China would democratize under the CCP was a big mistake committed by democracies. And yeah, we all have to admit it. We all have to say that it was a mistake. We have to self-reflect on it. Inside the CCP-run China or in any other dictatorship, those who dare to speak out, tell the truth, and stand up against the regime will face the most dangers. Therefore, we shouldn't be silent. The more silent you are, the more you appease the oppressive regime, the worse it becomes. Opposing authoritarianism requires a voice, and Taiwan will continue supporting its freedom, defending human rights, and protecting its sovereignty. God bless Taiwan. If you like the video, please press like, subscribe, and share. This is Tian. See you next.